You're listening to Little Green Cheese, episode 94. Well, welcome back, Curd Nerds. I'm Gavin Weber, and this podcast is where you can learn about cheese making at home. So today we've got a lovely guest. It's Ruth Cohn, and she's from San Francisco in California, in the United States of America. So she is a home cheese maker and also a therapist. And she uses the cheese making as a diagnosis, I suppose, to her stressful job. She is a big fan of the show, including the cheese making channel, and I dare say she's probably watched every single video and live stream at least once, if not twice. So please join me and Ruth Cohn with this interview taken from the 12 Hours of Cheese live stream. Now, allow me to introduce Ruth. Ruth is from San Francisco in California, United States of America. She's a therapist, and that's her profession, but she'll tell us about that as we go along. But her passion is cheese making, which is she can't stop making it. Anyway, I'll bring Ruth on and we'll have a fantastic chat. There she is. Hello, Ruth. How are you?
I'm so excited, Gavin. I'm so excited. And I have to tell you, I feel really emotional.
Do you?
When you saw me in the I thought, oh no, I'm going to start crying because you have been such an important person in my life since I found you on YouTube about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So your first question is, how did I get in making? And
Yes.
well, first of all, I will back up and say I am a therapist. I'm a psychotherapist and a sex therapist, and I work with trauma, so it's very stressful. So I need the relaxing movement of stirring the vat. And so how did it happen? Well, somebody brought me Ricky Carroll's book on loan. I always loved cheese. I never made cheese before. I always kind of dreamed about it, but I never really thought seriously about making cheese. Somebody lends me this book, Ricky Carroll's How to Make Cheese at Home or something like that.
Yeah.
And so making quick mozzarella, which is what we all do first. And Patricia once said she got PTSD from making quick mozzarella, and I agree with her. She said mozzarella causes PTSD, and I think it does.
Quick mozzarella, yeah. If you can't get it right, I'll tell you what, it's just a pain.
Somebody brings me this book, Ricky Carroll's book, and so I tried making quick mozzarella, and it didn't come out well, but I thought, I'll keep trying, and I've never stopped. So I looked for teachers on YouTube. I never was a YouTuber before, but I looked around on YouTube. I found this young woman named San Francisco Milkmaid, and I watched her for a little while, and she didn't have very many cheeses. So I started looking around, and then I found Gavin, and it was
Who's that bloke?
What?
Who's that bloke?
Good question. I don't know how it happened, but I found Gavin, and sidebar, I have a sleep issue. I don't sleep very much, so I would get up in the wee hours of the morning, and at that time, Gavin only had about maybe 86 videos on the chat on the site. Yeah. And I would watch them one after another and watch them again and again and again. And it was like I was in love. I lived for the live stream, and I rarely got to watch it live. And in those days, before Kim got sick, you were even doing them twice a week for a while. And I was so excited. And I remember when you started having them on the weekend, and I could sometimes come to the live to have it to watch it in person.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just started trying to make everything that I could that you were making on the site.
Nice.
And my failure rate was about 60%.
Oh, goodness me. I remember you reaching out to me a few times asking questions, and I hope that helped.
It did. And then I took the Curd Nerd Academy. And for a long time, my problem was I didn't get it about finding the right milk. And so I searched and searched and searched and tried all these different kinds of milk. And then I thought the problem was my thermometer. So I would get one thermometer and another thermometer, and I was trying all these different thermometers. And I just was obsessed with like what was my problem. But I kept going, and then Larry from Deep South Texas, and you made that video about American cheese, so I could make that out of all my failures. But we ate all my mistakes, but it was pretty bad for a while. I mean, every week I had another little disaster. At that time, I was making small batches, so it wasn't as bad. But anyway, so I tried a lot of things and I failed a lot. And then little by little, I started to have successes. And it was so exciting when my cheeses started to be not only good enough that we could enjoy them, but actually good enough where I could feel proud to give them away. And I started making cheese and giving it away. And everybody was so excited because nobody makes cheese. Everybody makes bread or, other things, but nobody around here makes cheese. So it was very exciting. And so that's how it all began. And then for about a whole year, besides watching your YouTubes as much as I could, which was a lot, I started reading books. And for a whole year, I only read books about cheese. And
nice.
So I read every night for like 2. Sorry about the doorbell.
That's okay.
And so I just read and read and read and read and read to see what I could learn. And then little by little, I started getting it. So that's how it all began. And it was an accident, but you were a big part of it.
I was a part of the accident.
You were part of the accident and part of the success. And you were part of the joy.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. That's a lovely start to your story.
You are. You still are.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah. And I must say this publicly, thank you so much for your support during the time that Kim was sick. I got a weekly email from you, checking in on me, especially if I wasn't making videos and stuff like that. It was a very stressful time in our lives. And I know you were going through a similar experience with your sister. But thank you so much for being there for us both. I really appreciate it.
I was heartbroken about Kim being sick. And I remember watching those videos where you were sitting in the car and Kim was inside having her chemotherapy. And I just was sad because when my sister was in chemo, I was at every single chemo.
Yeah, I just couldn't go in. They wouldn't let me in.
No, and you were going through it during COVID, and we got through the chemo before COVID.
All right.
And my sister is 5 years out now.
Nice. That's fantastic.
Stage 4 she had.
Yeah.
She's going strong. She has beautiful hair. And just like Kim has beautiful hair now.
Yeah, she does now. Yeah. Not that she didn't before, but, and I loved her hair when it was short too, so didn't matter. Love it a bit. But thank you. Like I said, Ruth, thank you so much for helping.
It was the least I could do because I was thinking so much about both of you all the time. And also, it was heroic that you kept on showing up and helping all of us when you were going through all that.
I thought of it as my great distraction, really. You know, it's, even though I've got a passion for it, I've got a passion for Kim, of course. She's my lovely wife. But really, when I'm trying to, well, yeah, I suppose, distract myself from pain. So, you know, as that's what people do. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did. I thought this is my community. These are the people that love making cheese and love talking about it. And who am I to let them down? Really?
Well, you know, Gavin, even before the pandemic, one thing I always loved about cheese, and one thing that really attracted me to cheese making, was that around the world, people make cheese. And for thousands of years, people make cheese. And I feel connected to humankind throughout history and throughout the world. And then having this chat, which is so big, a world, like people from all over the place, Africa and Spain and South America and Australia and Europe, and all these people from all over the place logging on and making things. And I just feel so connected. And then when we got COVID and we were all locked down and staying home by ourselves, I just felt like, oh, I'm not alone. All these other people are stirring their vats too. And I felt so blessed because some people couldn't get their milk.
Yeah.
And I always, you know, one thing about San Francisco, I feel so fortunate. I have a health food store where I can get raw.
All right, yeah.
Raw milk delivered every week to my door.
So good.
Pandemic, so I could make cheese every week, and I would hear people talking from other countries where they couldn't get their milk, and I just thought, oh, I felt so grateful, and I feel so blessed.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we're in a similar situation. The guys from Inglenook Dairy, even though, you know, they sponsored the show, they delivered the milk during the pandemic as well. They just brought it to my door for me. And yeah, they're a great bunch of guys at that dairy. So it's similar to you. You know, if you can get it, keep making it, as far as I'm concerned.
That's what I do. That's what I do until it all goes away. But I'm so grateful. And I swear to God, you know, just like you, cheese making is stress management for me. And I have a hard job, and I cure pain and problems all day long. So this is a real wonderful outlet for me, and it's a wonderful community for me. And just so you know, Gavin, I think you probably know this already, but everybody in my life knows about you.
What? And, really? I didn't know that.
Therapy sessions, I tell everybody, you know, my Australian cheese making teacher, at the end of every chat, he always says, "See you next time." So I always say to my clients at the end of my sessions, I say, "See you next time." And they
very good Australian accent. I like that. See you next time.
That's all I can say in Australian accent, but we all do it. And so you are well loved in my world. Everybody knows about you.
Thank you, Ruth. And I must thank you again. You actually dedicated, was it the last book, there was a dedication to cheese making in there. It's just, it was so kind. Thank you, mate.
You're a very important person. And I don't know, I did recently write my second book, and I don't know how I would have gotten through it without making cheese. But I will also say, and this is, I guess, in the category of advice, one of the things that writing a book is really stressful, especially, you know that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to do the rest of your work at the same time. So what happened was I terribly, terribly, terribly neglected my cheese. Really ironic, because
I've done it before.
my book is about childhood neglect. So here I
You neglected your
all
cheese.
my children, just like I was writing about neglect. So anyway, at the end of the year of writing that book, I had a terrible mess of because weeks would go by where I hadn't even gone in and seen how any of the cheeses were doing. So the mold just went crazy.
Yeah.
And it was a mess. So here's what I learned to do. And this is what I tell people to do all the time. I would just for 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, work on cleaning my mess.
Yeah.
Because, one thing, this is another way that I'm blessed, but it was a real problem during that year of neglect. I have I have 7 cheese fridges.
Seven.
Seven.
That's incredible.
And they're all full, and they all were completely moldy, especially with Rote 40. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
So everything got kind of bluish, and the refrigerators, everything was such a mess. So 10 minutes a day, and little by little, it all got, and now I have a routine where I stay on top of it every day. I clean one cave each day, and I turn the cheeses in that one each day. So instead of turning everything once a week, I turn one fridge each day, and I clean down the walls of that fridge that day. So at the end of the week, everything's been turned and cleaned one time, and now my little woman cave is immaculate.
Nice.
And everything's fine. So
that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, do you want me to show some of the pictures that you sent me? So I'll bring those up.
Let me give one little sidebar before you do that.
Yeah.
And that is when you ask what are your favorite cheeses to make. I'm really partial to visuals, so I like having cheeses that look really interesting and beautiful. So the cheeses that I've invented have been for looks. A lot of it is for looks. I care about flavor, of course, also, but I really like a showy looking cheese, and I also love making labels. So you'll see that I sent with my pictures of the cheeses, I sent my pictures of the labels. So go ahead.
Right, here we go. And you can see both of us as well. So, so you can see, so this one is a candy corn. So describe this cheese to me.
Well, in the States here, we have a traditional Halloween candy called candy corn. It's nothing to taste, but it looks just like this picture. So I thought, well, I'll make a Halloween cheese. I just made mine for this year because it needs about 4 to 6 months. Yeah. So I'll make a Halloween cheese that's got stripes of orange and yellow.
There it is there.
So it's cheddar with annatto, and it's striped with saffron-infused cheese. And if you're as old as I am, you might remember an old song called Mellow Yellow.
Oh, yes. Great song.
So I call my saffron-infused cheese Mellow Yellow. So the candy corn is striped of cheddar and mellow yellow.
Very nice.
Halloween candy.
So what's it taste like? So it's still cheddary, but the saffron, does that come through?
Not so strong, but the saffron is mostly for looks, although it's kind of a woody taste, but it's subtle. You've got a nice semi-sharp cheddar. It's a good cheese. Yeah. People love it. And
I loved, and you haven't. There's no peppercorns in this one like the saffron.
I didn't put any peppercorns in this one, although the little flakes of saffron, you can see some of those little kind of red flakes.
Yeah, let me
And
see. Can I zoom in? Let's have a look.
yeah, see those?
Oh, there, right, yeah, so there
And those are flakes of saffron.
and
And
over
the
there,
recipe
and yeah,
tells you to grind half of it and keep half of it in threads. I don't keep quite half of it in threads, but I keep about a third of it in threads. So you've
yeah,
got those little threads floating around.
fantastic.
It's fun.
So there's another one. This is a Montegio. Okay, there you are. That's a bit bigger. There you go. So describe this one to me.
Okay, well, I love honey and I love everything sweet. So I found this recipe in that Deborah, what's her name? Deborah, the 200.
Deborah Amram Boys.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
book. And she had a recipe in there called honey rubbed Montegio.
Yep.
So I thought, oh, anything with honey, I'll try that. So I went on Amazon and I found this truffle infused honey. Now I never had truffles before, but truffles are really fancy. So I thought I'd try it. So I got this little tiny jar of truffle infused honey for this little tiny jar for $18 US. And I thought, well, I'll use that for my honey rubbed Montegio. So I made this honey rubbed Montegio, and it was really fun because it's very fussy. And now that I have a time, I like the fuss. So the cheeses that have like what are they called again? Rind, wash.
Rind cheeses,
yeah, wash rind. It's things that you have to fuss with while you're aging.
Yeah. Oh,
I enjoy that. If I can keep up with it, I really enjoy it. So I got this honey, this truffle infused honey, and I made this honey rubbed Montegio, and it's really interesting, and it was really a lot of fun to make.
Yeah.
Although I think the truffles are really expensive and they're really fancy, and they're a little bit kind of what they call too rich for my blood. I'm not sophisticated enough for truffles.
So what was the flavour like though, Ruth, of the final cheese?
It's, you know how truffles are sort of shroom family.
Yeah, earthy.
Had a woody, mushroomy, kind of dirty taste.
Yeah.
And it's too strong for me. So I would say if I was to do it again, I wouldn't use truffle infused honey. I would use regular, wonderful
normal, honey. Yeah.
But the concept of Montegio with honey is a good one. And so this one in this picture is one that I recently made, and so it's in the cave now. It'll be ready in about 3 months.
Oh, okay. So you haven't tried it. So how many? Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
So how many times have you put honey on it? Was it just once, the initial time?
No. You put. Well, I do it more than the recipe says. She says to put it, I think, once a week for the first month, and then once a month. And I did it more than that. I don't remember exactly. Probably like every other day for the first week or two, and then every few weeks after that. So it might have been that with the oh God, what was the word again? The infused honey, I did it too often, but it came out just a little too strong. Although other people loved it. Yeah, I never had truffles before, and I don't really like truffles that much, but that's good because they're crazy expensive and they're not worth.
Yes, aren't they just? Now, oh, goodness me, what was the question I had? Oh, did you have to heat up the honey to make it more fluid, or was it just quite runny?
No, I just used it as it was. I
okay.
Heat it up.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's move on to your next one.
Okay.
So this is a Morbier that you made, and I think it's using a Manchego basket or something like that.
Right.
No?
Right. And one thing I'll say, this is one of my little trade secrets. I got these molds from New England cheesemaking,
Yeah.
and they don't wear cheesecloth. So now never use cheesecloth anymore, because a lot of my failures were cheesecloth related. Either the cheese stuck to the cheesecloth, or something went wrong that had to do with cheesecloth.
Right.
So this mold is cheesecloth free, and I also splurged and got one of those Loudoun molds.
Oh, yes, yes.
Also don't require cheesecloth. And what I'll say about Loudoun is that they are crazy expensive, but the people are so nice.
Yeah.
People are so nice. And when I got my Loudoun mold, and it's really big, it takes I mean, one of the things that happened as I got more crazy into this was I started working bigger and bigger and bigger. So now my did I send you a picture of the pot?
Yeah, but it didn't come through.
Oh, it didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Anyway, my pot that I now use is 8 gallons, which is 32 liters.
Goodness me.
Crazy. It's big. And did I send you a picture of these on the scale?
Yes. Hang on. There it is. There. Yep.
Oh, there it is.
Hang on, I'll bring it up.
Hold that one up so people can see it.
There we go.
I'm a sex therapist. So
right.
Dirty-minded, but
you are funny, Ruth.
These are really big cheeses, and that one is those are kilos.
Oh goodness! I thought that was pounds. No, goodness.
No, kilos.
That is a massive. How'd you get a scale that big?
I don't know. I have this big pot, and I got a press. You know, Zen's who makes the curd harps. I couldn't find a press big enough for my molds. So I went to Steve, and I asked him to make a Dutch press. Right. So I have a Dutch press that's big enough for my big molds. So I have a big mold out of which it'll take a 4 kilo batch if I So I don't.
So is that the same? So Ruth, is that the same size as the big one that I've got? Like, I think they say it's 3 kilos, but you can put more in it. I think.
That's the one. I think the same one that you have.
They're not cheap.
No, they're not cheap at all. But when I got that one, the guy who was so nice, and he liked me because I would go on Google and I would learn how to say little things in Dutch. So I would write him these little emails in Dutch, my little cryptic Dutch, and he just loved it. So he sent me all this free stuff. He sent me, actually, I got this little water bottle.
Oh, no. Hey, he never sent me one of those.
And he sent me a little cheese cutting board, and he sent me a bunch of free stuff, and he was so nice, and he kept in touch with me for a little while. Anyway, I'm working without cheesecloth, so I don't use cheesecloth at all anymore, and my life is much easier.
Yes, I do like working with the Loudoun molds. They are just so easy, and you don't have to flip them or anything. You just press them, and no cheesecloth, no flipping. They're just made for commercial cheese making, which is what they're for.
That's right. And a shout out for Steve Benz. I always say his curd harps are the Mercedes Benz of cheese making. And
I never thought of that.
About his presses. That I love my Dutch press, and I can make really big cheeses in it. I mean, as big as I make.
Yeah.
I've tried to contain my enthusiasm and not get a bigger pot, although, well, I don't think it would fit on my stove anyway.
Yeah. So do you heat your? Oh, well, I think that's all the photo. Oh, there might be one more. We'll just do one more photo. I think it was that one. This is
Oh,
your.
that one's my Galileo. I got another mold from Loudoun, which is the square one, the rectangular mold.
Yes.
I read a book about cheddar that was written by a local person at my health food store. His name is Gordon. I forgot his last name, but he wrote a book about cheddar. He's actually a professional cheese tasting guy, and he goes to the contests and
Right.
he tastes the cheeses. And so he was right. He wrote this book about cheddar, which is actually pretty cool. And he was writing about these 40-pound blocks of cheddar. Now, 40 pounds. You have
About
to ask
20 kilos. About 20 kilos.
Okay, so it's big. So I thought, oh, I want to make blocks of cheddar too. So I splurged again and I got another Loudoun mold, which is the rectangular one. And that one doesn't fit in my Steve Benz Dutch press, so I have to up with gym weights, which is precarious.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, I made this great, I've done it twice now. I made two big cheddar blocks in the rectangle. And when I had them before, they were in the wax, and I was just looking at this block of marbled cheddar, and I know Kim used to call it planet cheddar, and
Yeah.
it does look like a map of the world. So I thought, wow, this rectangular cheese, it looks like the world is flat.
Yeah.
So I called it Galileo. So that's the Galileo cheese, and you've got the label for that one too, right?
Yep. Hang on. There we are.
My Galileo label. And label making is another one of my great pleasures. So one of the ways that I got through the pandemic, and one of the great pleasures of my life, was, since we're so isolated during this lockdown, and I miss everybody so much, started sending people packages of cheese. And it would make so happy, and it would make people so happy to get these packages. And one thing I learned, and this is for single people, I'm a relationship therapist and I'm an old married lady. But one thing I learned was, every time I would meet somebody that I like, my perennial question, I would say to them, "Do you like cheese?" And pretty almost everybody says yes. And so then I said, "Give me your postal address. I'll send you a little package." And then they love me forever. So I made so many friends. Geez. And I swear to God, people love you forever and don't know anyone who makes cheese. They've never had artisan cheese before. And they're so excited and they're so, and I swear to God, I've made so many friends that way.
I'll tell you what.
If you're single, it might be a good way to meet.
Nice. I never thought of that. Yeah. Lucky I'm married.
I'm an old married lady. My other advice is, if you're going to be a crazy cheesemaker like me, you have to have a spouse that's an angel. And my spouse is an angel, and it also helps that he loves. So
of course,
he puts up with all my insanity, and he lets me completely monopolize the kitchen once a week, and he puts up with the smells and all the refrigerators, and he's a really good guy. So you have to have a tolerant spouse. And I remember there was a person on the chat who was constantly getting in trouble with his wife, and I just thought, wow, I'm so fortunate that my husband is such an angel, and he really is, and he loves the cheese. he
Yeah.
thanks the cheese every night when we have cheese for dinner. We do almost it.
I remember that guy. He was in. He's an Englishman that lives in Spain, and
That's right.
and his. I think his wife shut him down. Basically, he's making too many smelly cheeses.
Oh,
Yeah.
terrible.
What can you do? What can you do?
Well, Gavin also knows that I'm a much nicer person when I make cheese. So,
Yes.
he loves the cheese and he likes me better when I make cheese. So it works out well that way.
That is fantastic. He sounds like a very patient man.
He's a good guy. Yeah, I'm very fortunate.
Yes, same as me. Kim loves everything that I make. And yeah, she's even tolerant of the smelly washed rind cheeses, the ones that smell like old socks.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have such a supporting partner. And if you're single, you don't have to worry about stuff like that anyway.
That's true. But it's nice to have somebody there.
Indeed. So you like making the visual style cheeses, as long as they got some flavour as well. What's the weirdest one that you've made?
The weirdest one.
Yeah.
Well, the honest answer to your question is some of them came out weird that were supposed to be weird.
Right. Yeah.
And for example, it took me 3 tries before I got it to make Shropshire. Was it
blue?
Shropshire?
Yeah, Shropshire blue, the one that falls apart.
Yeah. And actually, I did a whole blog about it because it was such a challenge, and it was only when you and Larry came out with that American cheese solution that I found something to do with my Shropshire blue failure. But that one came out weird the first 2 times. But then when I finally got a good one, it was really, really. But
Yeah.
it took 3 tries, and I've never made it again because it was. I think I have a little PT that one. But so that was came out weird a couple of times, and the buttermilk blue out to be a really stinky sponge. So I think it probably got an early blow, but it turned into something really weird and made it into something like a buttermilk blue cream cheese. But
all right. So it turned out a right event in the end?
It was okay, but it was kind of weird. I would never do that one again.
Yeah.
And the only thing I've ever thrown away, and we ate all my failures, and there were a lot of failures even before the cheese video.
Yeah.
I ever threw away, and it's kind of ironic because you teach it as a beginner's cheese was when halloumi, and my halloumi came out so terrible, it wasn't edible. I don't know what went wrong, but that was the weirdest thing. That it was so bad that I hate wasting food, but that one we threw out.
Have you made it again since?
No. There's so many things to make, Gavin, that I just stuck.
True. Yeah, I'm quite partial to halloumi. Once you get the hang of it, I suppose it's very, very nice. But who knows what went wrong? You do so many things with it. So, but anyway, keep going.
I do make sourdough bread, and I don't know if there was like yeast in the air or something, and also because I have a cabinet where I keep my starter, and it's in the kitchen, so I don't know if it, yeast is airborne, and it could have been that there was yeast in the air. I don't know what happened, but anyway, that's the one weird thing I've done. It's not really weird, but it's sort of stinky, and that's all the ones brevet bacterium linens,
Yes.
linens
The red
cheeses.
mold. Yep.
Yeah, and I love those cheeses. And my mother, who died, she died in 2000, but her favorite cheese was Port Salut. And
Right.
so sometimes I make Port Salut for her because it's good and it reminds me of her. And it's also kind of stinky, and it's easy to make everything smell like Brevibacterium linens. And now I've got a lot of Brevibacterium linens cheeses going. I did make that Italico that was on the New England site. I haven't. It's not ready yet, but that one and the Morbier both have Brevibacterium linens in the wash that you have to use every few days. And also I've got a Port Salut in there. So I've got a bunch of bee linens going on. And I swear to God, I have to change my clothes a lot when I take care of the cheese. I stink.
Yeah, you got to wash it. You got to wash your hands about 3 times, especially because I wash them with my hands now. The wash is that what you do as well?
Well, no, because my skin gets really reactive. So I actually use gloves and
okay.
Special little brushes that I use for the washes.
Yeah.
So I've got my little linens wash. It stinks, but it's worth it, and I love
the flavor is just out of this world. You would not think that a cheese that stinks that bad would taste so good.
I know, that's right. And everybody loves it, so they don't have to know how smelly it is when it's being made. But my husband knows. But he loves it too.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, when I first tasted my first wash rind cheese, it just blew me away. I think it was Tilsit, because I'd never tasted one before I made it myself. So, yeah, it was really, really good. All right, I've got some dogs barking at the door. Ruth, can you just
okay, sure.
One second, I'll bring them in. Hang on.
Yeah. I've known Gavin through a lot of dogs.
Come on, dogs. Come on. Do you want to say hello to Ruth? Here we are.
Hey,
that's Hamish.
Hamish. You know,
look, Hamish. It's Ruth.
He reminds me of Teddy. Oh, he's so cute.
Yeah, Teddy was a beautiful boy. Oh, here, Bonnie, come here.
You know, those of us who have been with you for a while. Oh.
That's Bonnie. Look how much she's grown. Oh, she doesn't get down then.
No, she's a puppy.
Yeah, she is still. She's got about she's nearly 10 months old, so she's nearly an adult. So
well, those of us who have been with you for a while, Gavin, we've been through a number of dogs.
Yes, we had if you've been with that long, it would have been Butch would have been there as well.
I didn't know Butch. But
yeah, he was a Australian Silky Terrier cross before we had Holly. So, and then you would have remembered Holly. She loves Edam cheese, and Teddy as well, who's a Westie, and and these 2 Westies. So we kind of like Westies now.
Sweet dogs. I remember watching Holly on the taste test videos, and she was your assistant taster. Yes,
I remember that. Quite a few times when we were filming in the pool area, we got a little gazebo thing, and she was eating the cheese. She loved it. So don't give them too much though, because excuse me, don't give them too much because they lactose intolerant. They don't like it that much.
Our dog loves cheese. We only have one left too. We lost one during the pandemic.
Oh, sorry to hear.
Yeah, you know how it is, but it's the price of loving. That's what I always say.
Indeed.
So, and dogs don't live as long as we do, so it's kind of part of the deal.
Yeah. The somebody asked me a while back, what's the worst day of a dog owner's life? And it's the day the dog passes away. You know, so all the other days are joyful. They just are.
It's true. And we only have one dog left now. and the one that died, they were litter mates. So they were in the womb together,
Yeah.
and they were together every minute until the first one died. And the other one, the one we have left, her name is Angel, and she cries.
Yeah.
She's just inconsolable, and we understand how she feels, but so now we can't leave her alone anymore because she can't stand it.
Yeah. Well, these two dogs are the kind of the same. They're brother and sister, half brother and half sister, and they've been together. Well, Hamish since Holly passed, and he was really sad, but so were we, of course. So they because we got them both during the pandemic, we've never left them per se, so we can't leave them. We don't leave them alone. So I know, and cheese always helps, but
absolutely.
Can't have too much. It does, doesn't it?
I have
So do you, Ruth? Can I just ask you about therapy and cheese?
Sure.
So, do you use cheese making analogies during your therapy sessions?
I do, and I'll be honest with you. You know, I'm an old lady, and when you're old, you can make your own rules. I give cheese to my clients.
Yeah?
I give them cheese because I tell them it's of the treatment. And everybody loves it. And so I do use making metaphors all the time. And I write a blog, and I use cheese metaphors in my blogs because it's really relevant. And with that long episode of neglect of my cheeses, I use neglect metaphors both ways. Cheese metaphors to talk about neglect metaphors to talk about cheese, and absolutely. And you know, I do. And when you get old like me, you can make your own rules, and people get better.
Yeah, that's right. It must help in the healing process as well.
I'm sure it does. And I don't know, it's probably something in my own head, but I think something that I make that gets into their body is good for them. It's kind of like part of the healing process. And most people love it. Some people are a little skittish about it, but most people just love it.
Yeah. I dare say you probably got many repeat patients as well.
I do. And you know, the thing about trauma is it takes a long time to get better. So people are with me for a while, so we kind of, we get used to each other. And absolutely. And I do have people that come back who, finish, and then they come back at a different life stage. Maybe somebody dies or somebody retires and they need to come back.
Yeah.
So, that does happen.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I asked that question is because I do read all of your blog posts.
You do?
Yes, I do. And they are very informative. They have, oh, don't worry about that, because it's part of life, trauma and loss and grieving and all that sort of stuff. Not so much. I don't read so much about the sex therapy part, but the trauma stuff I certainly do. But it's so interesting. And I love the way that you do use those cheese analogies of your hobby and compare it to certain things in people's lives. So it's really good.
Cheese is a living thing, so there are a lot of ways that it is like we are. And it also, I feel so connected to goats and cows, even though I don't have any. When I heard Jennifer's interview, I thought, oh, she has 2 cows. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
And, Gianna, what is that woman's name who wrote?
Gianna Caldwell.
Yeah, she has videos about her goats, and I love at those little goats. They're so cute. So, I do use those metaphors, and we're all just mammals living in the world. And Jesus died.
No, that's fantastic.
I wanted to say one thing because it might be of interest to people, and it's certainly kind of an fondness that I have. And the one and only live cheese making workshop I ever took, and it wasn't very good, and I didn't really like it. But one thing I learned that was so bad was I learned how to make ricotta out of nothing but whey.
Right, yes.
Which is, you've got the whey and you let it, after you take out the curd and you put it in the press, then you've got the whey and you heat it up really, really hot. And you, as it builds this cap on the top whey of this thick layer of white cap, and the heat just starts to build. And if you'll forgive me, since I'm a sex therapist with a filthy mind, it builds up and it looks like the whey is starting to have its little climax, and it bursts through. And when it bursts through, you put the lid on, and then in the morning when you come out, you've got this pot of ricotta.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in it but whey. So it's this wonderful way to use your whey, and you get this big amount of ricotta. So what I discovered is all these wonderful things you can make with ricotta. So I make ricotta scones and ricotta blondies and ricotta cookies and all wonderful baked goods with ricotta. And I've got this ricotta factory. And then if you're really ambitious, after you take the ricotta off, you still have a pot of liquid left. I call the whey. And I use it to make bread or bagels. And if you really want to go all the way, bagels are boiled. So
all right.
I use whey for the liquid in the bagels, and I boil the bagels in the liquid. And so you've got this wonderful whey. It's really cool.
I tell you what, you should write that video that I've been promising to make for so long, and that the 14 ways with whey. You should make it.
But I would call Gavin. I would call it 50 Shades of Whey.
Ah, very good, very good. You're so cheeky.
But I only make ricotta. That's the only thing I know how to make with whey. That's why I've been for you to make that video. But I don't know if you ever will. You've got too many other ones to make. Yeah,
look, I have a procrastination problem when doing scripted videos. So I'm more of a free-flowing sort of guy, as you know from the videos that I make. I don't have a script for any of my videos. I might have bullet points that I want to achieve during the video, but I don't script. I don't read a teleprompter. I don't script. That, which is probably part of my success and maybe part of my downfall, that I haven't hit 1 million subscribers or anything. But I don't care about that stuff. It's about
you will have 1 million in a minute, Gavin. You will have 1 million.
You reckon? Are you going to tell everybody? Tell everybody. I haven't reached
these last few years, and you've thousands and thousands and thousands, and now you've got, how many channels do you have?
We've got four channels, but so the podcast one, we got the Gavin and Kim one, we got the Little Green Workshops one. I think that's it, and this, of course. So that's 4. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So, Gavin, you have to ask me the question: what is your favorite cheese to eat?
All right, Ruth, what is your favorite cheese to eat?
Okay, this is my answer. Oh, the cheeses. Because I've heard you say it 1 million times.
Yeah, I get it asked 1 million times too.
Yeah, I was going to just say back what you always say, because I feel I can't pick a favorite, although I will admit, this is my craziness, that during that time um, of neglect, all my cheeses got so moldy, and the Roquefort was everywhere. So
Yeah.
everything had all this unwanted mold and lots of unwanted Roquefort that was all over everything. And I have to admit, I love that stuff. I
Mm.
love the moldy, unwanted mold that's stinky and slimy. I love that. So, my husband would cut it off and I'd say, "Oh, save it for me." And I would eat it because I love it. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit crazy, but I do like that stuff. And it
It'd
stinks.
make it great. And some of the blue mold cheeses that I've made that have run away with themselves, as you know, and they go really runny if you neglect them. Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
They make the best blue cheese sauce because they're
Oh,
just so flavoursome, for meat or over potatoes or, any of that sort of stuff. On cauliflower, it was beautiful.
oh,
So,
that sounds good. That
yeah.
sounds
Now, Ruth, do you have any? We've got 6 minutes to go. Do you have any words of encouragement or tips that you can give new cheesemakers? And what's your favourite resources on the web for cheesemaking besides mine? You can say mine if you want, but
Well, I don't have any others, Gavin. You are the guy. And actually, I do like cheese history.
Julia's great, isn't she?
Really, that one's fun, but most just stick with your channel. And I mean, now you've got lots of videos, but before, when I first started, I was watching over and over again the same ones.
That's where I got all those views from, Ruth. Obviously, it was you.
Always liked, but so you're the guy. You're my one and only on YouTube. And my advice to beginners is a couple of things. I would say stick with Gavin, and also the Curd Nerd Academy was really helpful.
Oh, good,
And
good.
also, because I was able to have it, once you get it, you can keep it and watch. I like to watch things over and over again. So I recommend that. And also, just go ahead and fail and fail and fail and fail until you stop failing and start succeeding. Because, like I said, 60% failure rate. That's a lot of failure, and it helps to be married to an angel, and he ate all my mistakes with me. But we ate all the mistakes, and don't be afraid. My first boyfriend was a photographer, and this was in the Stone Age when we worked with film,
Yeah.
not with digital. And his teacher in graduate school said, "Don't be afraid to waste film." And so, as many shots as you have to take until you get it right. And that would be my advice with the cheese. Make it as many times as you have to get it right. And eventually it starts working, and then it starts working most of the time. And now it mostly does.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't, I know I can ask the cheese man.
Thanks. I tell you what, you Ruth are my therapy. I tell you that is so nice.
As I always say to my husband, what a great arrangement. No, it works. It's a perfect give and take because you're my cheese making guru, and if I can help you in some way, that makes me happy. And thank you to all the world curd nerds for keeping me company in this crazy couple of years of pandemic, which is not over. So please stay well, don't get sick, keep on making cheese, and keep on showing up.
Yeah, definitely. Great advice.
Thank you so much. And one other thing I request before my time ends, anytime we get to see Kim on camera makes me happy.
Yes, it does.
Beautiful. She
is
so
lovely.
Beautiful. I saw her the other day when we did the test, and she looks great. So everyone who went through her sickness with her would want to see how beautiful and how thick and gorgeous her hair is. And come on out, Kim.
She's not in the room. She's hiding with it. She's probably watching. She said she was going to keep a track of us.
Okay.
So if she wants to chime in the comments, but I will make sure she gets on camera more often, Ruth.
That would be great. Thanks, everybody, and thank you, Gavin.
Thank you, Ruth. You've been a treasure. You are truly an amazing person. Thank you, Ruth.
You too, Gavin. Thank you.
All right. Bye. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Well, that was just a cracker of an interview. I love Ruth. She is a most wonderful and amazing person. So thank you so much, Ruth, for talking to us today on the Little Green Cheese podcast. Well, thanks for listening, Curd Nerds. You'll find my cheese making video tutorials on YouTube, and just look for Gavin Weber or type in cheeseman.tv. You can get your cheese making kits, supplies and equipment over at our shop at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. If you'd like a personalised message from me, I am available to book via Cameo. Just search for Cheeseman TV. So stay tuned for the next exciting episode of the Little Green Cheese podcast. And I've just seen that I've clocked over 300,000 subscribers, not on this podcast, but on my main cheese channel. So I'm very proud of that. During this podcast, you heard royalty-free music by Kevin MacLeod. I played Malt Shop Bop and Call to the Dairy Cows. See you later. Bye.